Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gaming the System, the podcast where three intersectional feminists examine gaming and games through a feminist lens. Today I am your host Matt, and I'm joined by my friends Alex and Jem. Before we get started, if you want to support us, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem for some exclusive content, or you can send us a one-off donation via PayPal to our email address wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com.
Minsc,
Jaheira.
a big man himself. So I think we've got to what? No, we'll get to that when we get to it. So my choice is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
Because he is very funny. He can do thick as well. An earnest thickness, which I think describes Minsc fairly well. I didn't realise that Minsc is actually from like what I think. Have any of you played the first two Baldur's Gates?
No.
So
I know he's in them.
Minsc is in those. Is Minsc and Jaheira both in those?
Go for the eyes, boo! Go for the eyes! I was gutted that they didn't put that in.
Oh.
Yes, they did.
Did they?
Well, yeah, but it wasn't he wasn't the same. He always used to say it in a very specific way, and I was sad that they didn't do that.
Did they have the same actor doing it in this one? Was he voiced in the original one?
Well, only in I can't remember. It's about 100 years ago.
Do you not know who voiced him in Baldur's Gate 3?
I do.
I don't.
I was going to say.
Matt Mercer. The Matt Mercer.
The one
Captain
and only,
Levi himself.
Yeah.
who did no promotion for this whatsoever.
Wow.
He's got such a distinctive voice. I did feel I don't know how you guys feel about this. I wasn't as bothered by him because he's quite cartoonish. He's this big, aha, I am Minsc and boo.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's necessarily enough depth there for him to be a companion character. So I just thought the Arnold Schwarzenegger playing a bit dim, but he's got so many strange pets around him that I thought
that
him.
is an interesting gathering in that photograph.
So I thought he'd be a good choice for him. Bottom left, I think Jem and Finn, that were your same. You both chose him.
Well, there's been a mix-up because that version of Dave Bautista is supposed to be Boo.
Oh, I see.
I had two. I had Dave Bautista when he was a big man, and I said that was Minsc, and then Dave Bautista looking fucking amazing right now as Boo. He can be both.
So Boo is essentially his brain outside of his body.
And do
like
you
that.
not think that if Boo was anthropomorphized, he would look fabulous?
He would look fabulous.
He would.
Well, Boo's an alien creature come down from space
Is he?
Yep.
as a hyper intelligent hamster.
He's a miniature giant space hamster.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a whole thing about it in Baldur's Gate 3, but I mean, Boo always was that, and it was always really difficult to work out whether Minsc was like, you know, a few coppers short of a pound or whatever, or just, you know, having a laugh really, because he would. You know, I loved it. I mean, I loved Jaheira in the original Baldur's Gate games. Really, really loved Jaheira. And so Jaheira and Minsc turning up in Baldur's Gate 3, I was literally like screaming at the game. I was just like, yeah, they're here! And I was just like, because they were just so. I remember them more than any of I don't remember any of the other characters. I just remember those two. And I've always identified with druid characters in D&D style games anyway. So Jaheira was like my heroine. She was the person that I wanted to be, and it was just they had such a lovely relationship, those two, and I love how that has gone on. I was a bit sad that they hadn't had that they'd been separated for so long in Baldur's Gate 3, and I think they didn't get. I would have given them slightly more pride of place, but that's because of my history with them. But I think that Dave Bautista could play Minsc or Boo very, very well.
Yeah, very, very reminiscent of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think just earnest and just big and booming. Very fun. He's got a fabulous introduction as well.
He does.
It's just fighting its way out of the. Is it a mimic? They're called.
Yeah,
that's
the
right.
mimic box.
Yes. Yeah.
Bottom right. So is that you, Alex?
That's me. Yes. Now I'm going to see if any of you can guess, just based on one quote from a film that he's in. Yarp. Anyone?
That's the Hound, right?
Yeah. He's also Hot Fuzz.
That's right. Yeah.
He's
both.
right,
As well.
gotcha.
But yeah, he's Rory McCann. And he looks a lot like Minsc, the character, but also brings, with his portrayal of Yarp Narp Man in Hot Fuzz, brings the some pennies short of a pound vibes to Minsc as well. But yeah.
And Minsc
He's
is the
also very
third Hound
tall,
brother.
I think. Yeah. Yes.
Do we think Minsc would be afraid of fire? I feel like Minsc would be afraid of fire.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
I
hard.
think Boo would.
It depends if Boo's the other side of the fire. He wouldn't be afraid then.
Well, or Jaheira.
Yeah, or Jaheira, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's sort of like if you put Yarp in the Hound's body in Game of Thrones, that's how I imagine he'd be with the physical capabilities of it.
Yes.
Right, we'll go on to the next one. Spinning the wheel. Jaheira. It looks like we're going to end up with Karlach. So this is an interesting casting choice. Casting choices that we've all gone for. Top left.
I think that's me, and that's Kate Blanchett. Because Jaheira's slightly older in Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know, is she younger in the earlier games, Jem? Or
She was like tiny little pixels, so who knows what she was.
It was like 100 years ago,
yes,
I think.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed younger, but I mean, she always seemed quite mature.
But yeah, I think Kate is a good choice. We all know her mainly from Lord of the Rings, of course. She plays Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I think... So we know what she looks like with pointy ears. But yeah, I think she could carry it off. She's got quite a... She's got a... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know actually if it's the right word, but a sort of heft to her as like a legend within the acting world. And I think Jaheira brings that legendary status. She's often referred to as like a legend. So yeah, I think she'd be a good fit.
She's an iconic lesbian icon as well. She's she's one of those. Yeah, lesbian icon is the only way. She's on the Mount Rushmore of lesbian icons. She's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
She can do anything. Top right.
Candice Bergen. Has anybody here seen Boston Legal?
No.
Yes, I've seen it all so many times. It's the best.
Yep.
It's the best.
Same. Admittedly, I think that's the only thing I've ever seen Candice Bergen in. But she plays the partner of a law firm. There are quite a few things I like. It's to put it delicately, Boston Legal does have a problem of being very Bush era liberal, which can get preachy and insufferable at times. But also, if you like Star Trek and weirdly feminism, Boston Legal's for you. They actually, it's one of the only times I've ever seen an older woman on screen be allowed to be sexual. And not sexual as in, ooh, look, there's an older woman, but like, she's just a person. And she commands a room and is treated accordingly. And I just think Candice Bergen, specifically a Boston Legal, has everything you could want in a Jaheira, and then I put her next to James Spader dressed up as her, because I would dress up as Jaheira to annoy her at an office party should that weird scenario ever arise. So
I'm sure there's a mod for that. You can do that.
There's always a mod.
Yeah, I think all of these choices have that capable and powerful and able to fight for things, but then they exasperated with their friends, because that's her relationship with Minsc, is because he calls her his witch or something, and he's like, oh, I'm your berserker and you're my, and he goes, no, I'm not, I'm just your friend. We're just it's a friend. I help you because I'm your friend, not because I'm your I can't remember what the word was. It was a cool word. Bottom left.
Yes, so this is Salma Hayek. And I didn't want to choose her because I think she's a little bit too clean for the character. However, the more I looked at it, the more I thought about it, I thought actually she is very good. She's got the sort of slightly aloof attitude that Jaheira has, where even though Jaheira is perfectly happy camping out and doesn't like want all the sort of trappings of the sort of civilized world, she also has there is also this undertone that she knows perfectly well how to deport herself in the civilized world. And yeah, she's definitely got some sort of noble history about her, and I think Selma could sort of bring that conflict between those two sides to it. And of course she's also got the right accent, I think, for Jaheira, because she does have a sort of I don't even know where you would place Jaheira's accent, because sometimes it sort of sounds Eastern European and other times it sounds sort of South American. So it just feels like it's just I think she could bring that and the sort of fierce power, and she's old enough to bring across Jaheira's wisdom and age and maturity that she brings to everything. And as you said, Matt, she is a legend in her own time. So
yeah, I think somehow really, you're right about the accent. I can't imagine it's the accent, the actual accent of the character. I wonder what their direction was in terms of doing that accent. Were Minsc and Jaheira voiced in the older Baldur's Gates?
I can't remember. I think probably not, because it was the olden days. I'm gonna look it up while we do the last one.
Yeah, so bottom right is Sigourney Weaver, Ripley herself, and I believe that's a photo of her from Avatar, where Again, she's playing this very qualified person, exasperated at the people around her, which is the dynamic I get from Jaheira a lot of the time. And she had quite a cool introduction, wrapping us up in thorns when we're in the middle of the... Oh, damn it, I can't remember what the place is called. The dark...
The Shadowlands!
Shadowlands, yes. I think they call it the Shadow Realm as well, which is stealing a little bit from Yu-Gi-Oh, but that's okay. But yeah, so yeah, very cool. Have you got the answer, Jem?
No.
Okay.
It's okay. We'll leave it.
Somebody was asking where did the accents come from, but they weren't. They were just like, oh, because they come from these places in the game world. But obviously that's not.
Well, when I
That's
saw the actress at Comic-Con, she said it was the only Eastern European accent she could do. That's why she picked that one. So
There you go.
Oh, we could do an entire episode of Finn of you meeting your story, meeting all the cast members and all the stuff you've been to, because you didn't even mention your Astarion tattoo on when we were talking about Astarion.
no, I didn't bring my blanket for the camera either. The giant blanket that's bigger than I am.
Did you show Neil the tattoo?
No. Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of discourse around. I mean, there's a lot of discourse around everything, and if people could chill the fuck out on the internet for 2 seconds, that would be lovely. But it's my understanding that he feels quite uncomfortable with people getting the Astarion scars tattoos, which is his right and perfectly fine. But that does mean that I'm not going to go up to him and be like, look what I got! Because, you know, he doesn't want to hear me trauma dump for 5 minutes to explain myself. I'm perfectly happy with it, so... But MCM Comic-Con London is coming up in May. I'm sure some of them will be there. So, you know, and so will I. So...
That's so cool. I'd love to meet them. I think Neil Newborn would be the one. If I could meet any of them, I'd choose him. Right, we'd better move on to...
You know...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just the one weird thing is I showed up, because I last time I was there I paid for a picture with him and Tim Downey. Jem's seen it, and what I found really funny about it, because I'm really difficult to photograph, because I'm a weird little autistic creature who doesn't know how to pose their body correctly. So there's this picture of me and Neil Newman like holding Tim Downey up with a sword. I look awful. I look like such a fucking dork because I am. But I'm also so happy. So what happened was I sent that one to a bunch of people, and everyone, I think Jem included, was really polite and didn't say anything back at all because of how awful I looked. But I was so happy. So happy. But when I met them, I was obviously, you know, quite overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And Neil Newman snapped me out of it by shaking my hand. But then I was still a bit out of it, so I went and shook Tim Downey's hand as well. So I was like, alright, whatever. I'm sure I was one of the least memorable people from the day, but that it was kind of nice that he saw I was overwhelmed and was like, shake my hand.
Oh.
There's another awesome thing about the direction in which I think especially male characters are being written at the moment is bringing in real emotional depth and intelligence to them. And in order for an actor to be able to play that, they need to have those kinds of qualities of themselves. And then that, especially that ability to empathise, which clearly Neil Newborn does, allows him to interact with fans like that, to go, this person's... I don't know how this person's feeling. They might be awestruck, but you can just go, oh, that person seems to be a little bit nervous. They need something different to someone who's really confident and wants to come in and do a certain thing. So it's
Absolutely.
yeah, it is wonderful seeing how successful they're all being in their own right now. Right, we have one cast member left to talk about, and it is Karlach. Karlach, the tiefling barbarian, who stole my heart from the first moment I heard her speak, and she's just wonderful, genuine love, falling in love with a character that I don't know if I've experienced before. I love them, and that's just that was just a wonderful thing that this game's given me. In terms of our casting, top left.
That's me. I really struggled with this one, as you may be able to tell. I've gone for Alicia Vikander, who has played Lara Croft, not quite as well as Angelina Jolie, arguably. You could argue, but it depends which one you prefer. But you know, I haven't had much time with Karlach in game, so I think that's somewhat reflective of this. But also, I think that Alicia's got some depth to her. She trained super hard to play Lara in the film Tomb Raider. She's got a toughness to her. Yes, she doesn't have the build, but she's got a toughness to her, but also a softness, which I think is part of Karlach's character as well. She cares a lot about other people and protecting them and looking after them and making sure they're okay, you know. And I think that, you know, I think Alicia could probably pull off the accent. I've only heard her have a posh accent in films that I've seen her in, though. So again, poor choice from me, I expect. But yeah, I think there are depths of toughness to Alicia, so that is why I went for her.
Yeah, she got shredded.
She did, yeah.
For Tomb Raider, and that
Was it good?
I enjoyed it.
It was okay. Yeah, there were parts with it where they obviously changed the story a little and lent into the Lara has father issues. Let's concentrate on the father loads, because that's what every Tomb Raider film is about, apparently. So they lent into that a little more and had a bit of artistic license with that. I didn't necessarily enjoy that particular direction, but I liked some aspects of the film. But then I was like obsessed with the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders when I was growing up.
Well, so was I.
Yeah. So they kind of have informed my opinions of this later Tomb Raider. But yeah, I like it. It's definitely true to the newer Tomb Raider games in a lot of ways, and I liked those parts of it. But yeah, I've watched it quite a few times actually. Not as many as the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders, but yeah, I think she did a good job, honestly, as Lara. But yeah,
it has a tricky place in like the development of how women are portrayed in the entertainment industry, because Lara Croft, the character, has a certain sensualness and sexiness that is part of who she is, that Angelina Jolie embodies perfectly. And it's not just about the way she looks, it's about what she's able to do. Then people started going, there's too much sexualization of women, which is true. And then that sort of brings it down to you can't just have a bit of sensualness and sexiness just for the sake of it. And it's that thing of, there were two types of women's bodies. There was the first part, there were Angelina Jolie bodies, and all characters looked like her. And then the second part, there were Alicia Vikander bodies, where everyone looks like her. And that's what's happened in the video game industry as well. So if you look at the original Lara versus the remake Lara, she looks like Margot Robbie or any number of actresses that we see about at the minute. So
See, the reason I asked was because my problem with the newer games, and I stole this from an irreverent gentleman named Zero Punctuation, is does she have a case of the I musts?
Yes, very much. I've
Yeah,
talked about
there's
this
no
loads on
agency.
the pod. Particularly in the third one, she's very much got a hero complex. Where she's like, oh, I'm the one that needs to save the world. It has to be me, and I hate everything else. I need to do it, and nothing else matters. And she actually treats her friend Jonah like really badly in the third game, and it actually turned me off her as a character at certain points. But I feel like that's probably down to the writing. But also, I felt really bad about it because I'm like, oh, I'm having a go at a woman because she's being whiny, and that's not a good thing to be thinking. Yeah, so I don't know, I've got really mixed feelings on it, and it's very weird, but it did turn me off her in the third game, definitely. It just felt like, does it have to be Lara that does everything? Can't Lara just have a nice time looking at the jungle for like 5 minutes, and then, yeah, I don't know.
So we're going to have you back, Finn, for a Lara Croft episode.
But yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there to be talked about. Number 2, who is that?
Emma Darcy! But more specifically, Emma Darcy as GQ's Man of the Year.
Right.
Partially because there just isn't a lot of non-binary representation. Sam Bett, the actor who plays Karlach, is non-binary, so I kind of wanted to bring that to the table. And also because, as noted in the last episode, Emma Darcy, when they are not playing scary dragon queen lady on a House of the Dragon, is lovely and sweet and kind and very, very funny. And I think, yeah, Emma Darcy can just bring it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they're not very built, but they could do it, I reckon. If they hit the gym for a year, they could do it.
That's an awesome thing that is happening gradually, but is happening more and more, is famous actresses properly muscling up for roles. Because forever they've just needed to be as skinny as possible, whereas now you've got actresses like Tessa Thompson, who plays Valkyrie in the Marvel Universe, just arms like a bodybuilder, and you just go, the more variety in body types that we see from women on screen, the better, because forever it's only been these two body shapes. And
or indeed non-binary people.
Yep. And I was thinking of other non-binary people. Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie in The Last of Us, she properly has the violent kind of things really nailed down, and I think they would make an interesting choice as that. Maybe in like 20 years' time, maybe get a bit. She's very, very young. On the bottom left, that is me. Do any of you recognise her?
No, to my detriment.
So, none of you have been watching Gladiators?
Oh no, I was going to say she's Gladiator.
Yes.
It was just coming to me.
Yes, you got there, yes. So, Gladiators is awesome. The second season has begun recently. That is Shelley McCoy, and she plays Saber. Plays Saber. She is Saber. Her gladiator name is Saber, and all of them are some of them are CrossFitters, and she is just this big, strong, like physically powerful woman who just has such Karlach energy for me. Just could absolutely rip your head off, but could also give you a big hug, depending on how you treat her and her friends. And
excellent choice.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Is I had a similar reaction as I did with seeing Abby in The Last of Us for the first time, because I'd never seen a female character that hench. I just hadn't seen that before, and that makes such a difference in I think how particularly female characters will be perceived. Because you go, whoa, you look different, and different is good, and it just made her all the more distinctive. And as you put it last time, Finn, a muscle mommy.
That's Karlach.
Absolutely. And she's just so earnest and true and honest and kind and genuine. She's the most, I think, wears her heart on her sleeves character, because most of them reveal their backstories gradually as you get to know them, whereas she straight away is, oh, I've just escaped from 10 years of service in the Hells, and oh damn, another knife in the back for old Karlach. I love when she refers to herself as old Karlach.
Yeah.
And she's one of the sweetest as well, because when she asks you out for the first time and you go, yeah, and she turns around and goes, yes. This is so adorable. And taking you out on a date, going to a pub, and it's just so sweet. And when sometimes when you go into like hide mode, she goes, stealth mode activated. She's just my truest love in Baldur's Gate. Right, bottom right.
You're right there, Matt.
Yes, sorry. I've finished off my Christmas gin.
Well done. So this is Lazy Beats, and she has played some action characters, so I think she'd be able to carry off the sort of action side of Karlach's role, and I think there was something about her face shape that really kind of said Karlach to me, and so that was one reason why I chose her. And I also wanted to look for a black woman to play Karlach because I felt that I don't know. I've been reflecting actually on that, but I felt that Karlach has I don't know. I think it's the same as what I was saying about Lae'zel, that I feel like a black woman could bring to those characters that otherness that they feel in the setting that they find themselves in. And so I feel that that's something that we could draw on with this actress. And yeah, no, I mean, I loved Karlach. I like the character, and I think she has a lot similar to Astarion, actually, that she's got this very traumatic past and backstory, and she's also got a sort of inner, I mean literally she has like fire, but she has a sort of inner strength that keeps her happy and positive despite all of that. And I think that's what her and Astarion have in common, is that this sort of positivity despite it all. Whereas Gale is, very much like, oh, woe is me, and Will is, he sort of feels very hard done by, and so yeah, I think Astarion and Karlach have that inner energy that the others don't necessarily have. I would definitely want Karlach in my friendship group, but I don't think that I'm cool enough for her to be to be in my friendship group. But if she needed, to hang out, then I would be available for that.
I made a list of the characters in terms of their the reason they're in the situation they are at the start, and Gale is right at the bottom of it's entirely his fault that he's got this thing in his heart. Whereas on the opposite end, you've got Astarion and Karlach, who are the most hard done by because they've both been enslaved by evil people. I think we'll end with one of my favourite quotes from Karlach, which is when just wandering around. If you've got Gale and Karlach in the party, you can. At one point, she says, "Oh, I wish I could. I'm still sucks that I can't touch my lover." And Gale goes, "There are other ways of expressing love." And she goes, "Oh, great! Are you going to tell me an unusual way of using Mage's hand?"
I remember that one.
And she goes, and he goes, "Well, I was thinking about poetry." And she goes, "Oh, can we talk later about the Mage's hand thing?" Right, and on that note, we will bring this episode to a close, as we've gone over long than we were just because we have to give these characters their due. We'll probably have to come back another time to do some non-companion characters, but until then, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all for taking part. Thank you very much for Finn for coming back and guest starring once more. Have this.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And thank you everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.